What's going on, guys? It's Jeremy, and today we're going to be talking about what is probably one of the most important aspects of the preparedness community, and that is water. We're going to be talking about collecting water, storing water, and the standards you should set for your water preparedness plan. Remember, guys, if you like this content, subscribe. If there's a video you want to see something made on, leave a comment down below and I'll add it to the list. Let's get into it. Alright guys, the first thing we're going to talk about is collecting and purifying water. And for the sake of time and really just being repetitive of a lot of other videos, we're not going to talk about boiling water. I think everybody should know how to boil water. If you don't know how to boil water, YouTube it. But so as we go through all of these different products, guys, that we're talking about here, I'm going to list some information and the prices, the general price about it down below. So the first thing we're going to talk about is iodine tablets. So I am not a huge fan personally of iodine tablets, but there are a lot of people that are. They're very small, they're very compact, but they have an expiration date and it's not super long. So if you're looking to store something on the shelf that may be for long-term storage, these are probably not what you want to go for. The benefits of these, though, if you have something like a Camelback or a large water bottle or something like that, you can easily pop one of these iodine tablets in there, and within minutes you're going to have good, clean drinking water. And a lot of iodine tablets now get sold with these taste neutralizing tablets as well that go with them, but they also have an expiration date, usually somewhat in line with the iodine tablets. So very small, very compact, not very expensive, but not my go-to method when it comes to water purification. The next thing we're going to talk about, guys, is the Life Straw. Again, not one of my favorites, but very lightweight and very easy to store places. It also has a very long, not necessarily shelf life, but the amount of gallons of water it can clean before it needs to be necessarily replaced. I do keep these in a lot of places, though, even though they aren't my go-to. If you guys saw my gear video, I keep these pretty much with every Camelback or hydration pack that I have as a backup if I'm ever separated from my Sawyer water filter. I also keep these in random places in my truck, and anytime I go backpack or anything like that, I usually always keep this as a secondary. Downside is you have to have some sort of water bottle for this to connect to drink straight from dirty water, or you just have to stick your face down in the water source and drink from it. So not very good for collecting and transporting any sort of water, but definitely a decent backup, not very expensive, and it's very lightweight. The next one we're going to talk about is the Sawyer Squeeze water filter, and this is my favorite. This is my go-to. This is the standard, I think, and I have a brand new one here that we're going to open up and we're going to look through all the contents. So I do not know the amount of gallons of water that this is good for, but it's a lot. I mean, you're pretty much good forever with these. I do suggest you replace them if it's something you keep in your backpack and it's a couple years down the line. You know, replace it. They also come with cleaners, backwashes, for you to backwash your filter. So in this pack, we have the actual Sawyer water filter itself. We have a syringe for backwashing your filter to help clean it. We have two water bags. You keep dirty water in here. These are 32-ounce bags. A lot of people squeeze these. However, if you kind of get the method down, these can also be used kind of gravity style in line with the filter. That way you don't have to squeeze it out. You can kind of let it hang and come back and your water will be filtered. You kind of got to get the method down for that, though. But these are very convenient. The full size comes with two. The mini only comes with one bag. It comes with a tube to connect to your filter. It comes with a mesh bag so you can keep everything in here. I always put everything in the bag. And then it comes with a few different attachments. You can add this directly to the cap and, you can add these to the caps, close off your water. You can add these to different water bottles. You add this to your filter. You have all different types of attachments here. Always read the instructions with this, guys, and know how to use it before you need to use it. This is definitely my go-to, though, when it comes to water filtration or water purification. And then the last one we're going to talk about, guys, is the Sawyer 1 gallon water filter. So the filter that comes with this is almost exactly the same. However, it comes with a much larger 1 gallon bag. Dirty water goes in here. It comes with a very large, long plastic tube, which you would connect to the end of your filter on here, and then you gravity feed it. It comes with a carrying handle of sorts, so not only can you carry the water, but you can tie this up somewhere to a tree, to a post, hang it on a door, whatever it needs to, and it will gravity filter your water. And it's actually a very quick process. I definitely like this. I like to match this up with the 5 to 7 gallon water cans that we're going to talk about in the next bit on storing water. But these are definitely some of the more popular, easy, inexpensive ways to filter or purify water. Definitely always buy good name brand stuff. Don't always cheap out. Water is really important. So let's talk about the storage portion of water and what may work best for you. Storing water on the preparedness side of things can be kind of difficult because when you really start to think about how much water you have to keep on hand, it takes up a lot of space. You know, a go-to thing within the prepper community is for people to buy those 50-gallon drums and fill them with water. I don't personally like that because they're hard. It's hard to cycle through that water, and you have to treat or constantly treat that water. My go-to is just cases of water bottles. They're easy to go through and cycle through. They're easy to move. They're easy to store. They stack nicely. So I usually keep 2 to 3 days worth of water cases on hand for everyone I feel responsible for that's in my preparedness plan. And I keep water in a lot of different places, not just my garage, not just my place, not just my parents' place or whoever's place. I keep water in many places. But when it comes to collecting and storing water after something happens, that's a different take. So what I like to do is I like to keep a bunch of these 5 to 7 gallon water cans on hand. So we use that gravity filter, that Sawyer gravity filter we talked about earlier. I take that to a water source and I can easily fill this probably in, if it's depending on the size it is, 30 minutes or less. I think this is really easy. It's easy to move, it's easy to manipulate, and I find this to be the best method. Now there are more methods to storing water, and if you have the space, by all means, keep more water on hand. But for a lot of people, when you add in all the other preps you've probably already put together, storing weeks worth of water is just not an option. You would be stacking cases of water to the roof. So have a plan to have water immediately when something happens, and have a plan to have water after something happens, including storing it. One thing I want to hit on is the water source itself, where you're going to be collecting water from. If you're a person that has a well on your property, or you have some form of water source running water on your property, if you're fortunate enough to have property, this doesn't apply to you as much. But for those that don't live on some sort of property, you need to have primary, secondary, and tertiary water sources identified prior to something happening. And then you also need to consider, you know, what is the significance of that water source? Is it something that's going to replenish itself naturally, or is it something that could very easily run dry? Another thing to consider, is it running water or is it static water? Obviously, when we have, you know, high level filters and whatnot, it may not be as necessarily important, but running water is always going to be more clean than static water. I would rather collect water from a stream or a river than I would a pond or a lake. So remember, how you're going to collect water is just as important as where are you going to collect water. Now let's talk about the standards you should set when it comes to your storage plan for water or your collection plan for water in a preparedness mindset. Now, the general rule of thumb is to prep for everyone in your plan as a military age male. Now, that's probably almost never the case, but the reason behind it is not only is it easier to track and keep a normal standard set, but it also will help you to have a lot of extras on hand, which may benefit you down the road. Now, how much water should you keep on hand for that standard? The normal go-to in the preparedness community is about 3 to 5 gallons of water per day per person. That is to consider cooking, hygiene, drinking, bathing, cleaning, all of that kind of stuff. So make sure that you have not only a plan in place to store that much water for everyone that you are responsible for, that's in your plan, but also a plan in place to collect that water. That's all I've got today, guys. Remember, if you like this content, to subscribe. And as always, train hard, Train often.